Hey everyone, and welcome back to Dangers and Dragons, the show where we dive into addictive stories and epic quests and legendary adventures.
Definitely legendary.
I'm Adrian,
I'm Julia.
and I am so stoked for today's tale.
Me too.
It's got twists
Yeah.
I seriously did not see coming.
Oh, you're not kidding?
So get this.
Okay.
Imagine a world where dragons rule the skies.
Okay.
Not like fire-breathing, fear-inducing monsters,
Right.
but these radiant, majestic beings.
Okay.
They're protectors.
Hmm.
Their scales shimmering like jewels against the twilight.
Beautiful.
And below,
Woo!
humans.
Shiny humans.
Almost like ants, compared to these powerful dragons totally reliant on their fire for protection against this creeping darkness.
The creepy.
I went into this story expecting the usual dragons or evil trope,
Right.
but this author threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
I loved that twist on the classic dragon mythos.
Yeah.
It sets up such an interesting power dynamic right from the start.
Totally.
You have these almost godlike dragons and then these vulnerable humans who depend on them for survival.
Yeah.
It makes you question who really holds the power in this world.
Exactly, and that's where Flicker comes in.
Okay.
She's our protagonist, a skilled thief who operates in the city's shadows. Thinks super stealthy, can slip past anyone unnoticed.
That's cool.
What's fascinating about her, though, is that she's not just driven by the usual greed.
Right.
There's a yearning there.
Yeah, a hunger for power and light.
Yes.
You get the sense that she's trying to escape the shadows she's always lived in.
And that brings us to the Heartstone,
Ooh.
this legendary artifact that's rumored to hold the very essence of a dragon.
Okay.
Whispers of its existence have drawn Flicker in. But I have to ask,
Yeah.
when you first read about the Heartstone, did you think it would be this pulsating, almost living thing?
Oh, yeah.
That detail really threw me.
That detail stuck with me, too.
It's not just some shiny object.
No, it's not.
The way the author describes it, you get the feeling that this stone has a will of its own.
It does.
Maybe even a corrupting influence on whoever possesses it.
Definitely.
It hints at the dangers of unchecked ambition, don't you think?
I do.
So Flicker, being the risk taker she is,
Uh-huh.
decides to steal this Heartstone from old Silas,
Okay.
its current owner.
Gotcha.
The heist scene had me on the edge of my seat.
Really?
Flicker is so skilled, outsmarting Silas at every turn.
Wow.
It makes you realize how vulnerable even someone who seems powerful can be.
That's true.
But it's the moment her hand closes around the stone,
Yes.
that energy connecting with her,
Uh-huh.
that really got to me. It's like their fates become entwined.
Yeah.
Did you get that sense?
Absolutely.
It's like, okay, she's got the Heartstone.
She does.
What now?
But what now?
Well, buckle up,
Oh, boy.
because this is where things take a wild turn.
Oh, no.
Flicker knows a forbidden ritual
Uh-oh.
that can unlock the stone's power,
Okay.
but it requires a sacrifice.
A sacrifice. What is it?
Her own blood.
Blood rituals in stories like this always make me think about commitment and sacrifice.
Yeah.
It's like Flicker is saying, I'm willing to give a part of myself to achieve this power.
Right.
But did you ever think she would be transformed into a monstrous shadow creature?
Dude, when I read that, my jaw dropped.
I was not expecting that.
No longer bound by human limitations,
Yeah.
but completely consumed by this shadow energy,
Wow.
becoming something magnificent and horrifying all at once.
That's scary.
I was like, whoa, where's this story even going now?
Right.
But of course, chaos ensues.
Classic case of be careful what you wish for, right?
Totally.
Silas ends up dead. The entire city is ablaze. People are terrified.
Oh my gosh.
And get this, even the dragons with all their power can't extinguish the darkness Flicker unleashes.
Hold on, I have to stop you right there.
What?
Because this is where it gets really interesting for me.
Okay.
You'd think Flicker would be reveling in all this destruction, right?
I would think so.
I mean, she's basically unstoppable at this point.
Yeah, but that's what makes this story so good.
Right.
Instead of that typical villain arc, the author throws us another curveball.
Okay.
Flicker sees the fear and defiance in the eyes of the people below, and it triggers something in her, a change.
And that's where we'll leave it for now. Stick around for part 2, where we'll delve into Flicker's inner struggle and the choices she makes in the face of overwhelming power.
I can't wait.
Trust me, you won't want to miss this.
Yeah.
And don't forget to rate and follow Dangers and Dragons for more stories just like this.
Yes, definitely do that.
We'll be back soon with more twists and turns.
You know, it's like when Flicker sees that defiance in the people's eyes, it's like a mirror reflecting back at her own past struggles. That yearning she's always had to break free from the shadows.
Yeah.
It's like the author is reminding us that even in a world ruled by dragons,
Right.
that human spark of rebellion can still exist.
Yeah, it's such a pivotal moment in the story.
It is.
Here's Flicker, this monstrous shadow creature with the city literally burning around her.
Right.
And instead of feeling this rush of power, it's like she's hit with this wave of doubt.
Yeah.
It's not what she envisioned at all.
Exactly. Remember, her goal wasn't to rule through fear or destruction.
Right.
She wanted to escape the shadows, not become the ultimate embodiment of them.
Right.
And this is where the author does something really clever, setting up this contrast between the complacency of the dragons and Flicker's realization.
Hold on. Unpack that for me a bit.
Okay.
What do you mean by complacency?
Well, the dragons have been in power for so long, they've become almost passive in their rule.
Okay.
They provide protection against the darkness, sure,
Right.
but they don't seem to question their role or consider any other way of doing things. They're comfortable, maybe even a little stagnant.
Okay. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
And Flicker, in this moment of chaos, realizes that true power lies in challenging that status quo. It's not about dominance. It's about defiance and change.
Exactly.
That's a pretty powerful message.
It is.
Even for those of us who aren't battling dragons on a daily basis.
Totally. And it's this realization that sets off a major internal conflict in Flicker.
Okay.
On one hand, she's got this immense power.
Yeah.
The ability to shape the world as she sees fit.
Right.
On the other hand, she's wrestling with her humanity, that memory of the people's defiance sparking something good within her. It's like a battle between light and darkness, but it's happening inside her own soul.
Yeah, it's that classic good versus evil struggle, but on a whole new level.
It is.
And the stakes couldn't be higher. I mean, the entire city is now a battleground between her monstrous shadow form and the dragons.
Right.
The author doesn't shy away from the epic scale of this confrontation at all.
No, they don't.
It's like watching a clash of titans with the fate of the city hanging in the balance.
Wow.
But in the midst of all this chaos, Flicker makes a decision.
What's that?
She chooses to relinquish the stolen power.
Really?
To tear the Heartstone's energy from herself.
It's an act of incredible sacrifice.
It is.
Especially considering the agony she endures as the power rips free.
That scene where she's literally tearing herself apart to undo what she's done.
Yeah.
It's both terrifying and inspiring.
It is.
It would have been so much easier to just give in to the darkness, to rule through fear.
Right.
But Flicker chooses a different path, a path of redemption.
Wow. What did you think when you read that?
It made me think about the true nature of strength. It's not always about brute force or control.
No, it's not.
Sometimes the greatest strength lies in letting go and sacrificing your own desires for something bigger than yourself.
That's powerful.
And the scene that follows,
Oh, yeah.
chills, man chills. We see Flicker battered and vulnerable, standing before the dragons.
Wow.
They were just moments ago battling her monstrous form.
Right.
And now they're looking at her with this newfound respect.
Yeah, the power dynamic has completely shifted. It's like they finally see the true extent of her power.
Right.
Not in wielding it, but in giving it up.
And it's not just the dragons who are affected.
Right.
The city, once shrouded in darkness, slowly begins to heal. But it's more than just the physical landscape that's changing.
Okay.
Flicker's act of defiance has planted a seed of hope in the people.
Yeah, they've witnessed a different kind of power.
Right.
Power that comes from challenging the status quo and fighting for what's right.
It's like that single spark of defiance has ignited a much larger fire.
It has. The dragons who were once unquestioned rulers now face a population that's been awakened to the possibility of change.
Yeah, Flicker may have returned the Heartstone, but the consequences of her actions are only just beginning to unfold.
That's a good point. It makes you wonder if Flicker even realizes the ripple effect her choices have had.
Right.
That's what makes this story so compelling.
Totally.
It goes beyond just a tale of dragons and stolen power.
Yeah.
It's about challenging authority, finding your own strength, and realizing that even seemingly small acts of defiance can have world-altering consequences.
I love that.
And sometimes the most powerful choice isn't about seizing control, but about letting go, about choosing redemption over power.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere, because in part 3, we'll delve into the key takeaways from Flicker's story and explore those deeper themes of power, defiance, and redemption woven into this incredible tale.
Sounds good.
And as always, don't forget to rate and follow Dangerous and Dragons for more stories just like this.
Yes, do that.
We'll be back soon with more twists and turns.
Okay, so we've journeyed with Flicker through this insane story, watching her rise and her fall, and ultimately her choice to give up that incredible power she'd stolen. What a wild ride.
It's a story that throws you one curveball after another, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But it also leaves you with some seriously big questions to think about.
definitely. This episode really makes you examine the whole concept of power, doesn't it? We see it in the dragon's role and Flicker's transformation, and even in those small acts of defiance from the people.
It makes you wonder, what does true power really look like?
Right. The author challenges that typical understanding of power as brute force or dominance. Instead, we see that resilience, courage, and the ability to inspire change can be just as powerful.
Yeah.
Maybe even more so.
And Flicker's journey really embodies that.
It does.
She starts as this thief, wanting to escape the shadows, but ends up sparking a revolution just by daring to defy those in power.
And that act of defiance, even though it seems like a small thing in the grand scheme of things, creates this ripple effect that's impossible to ignore.
Totally.
It shows us that even when the odds are stacked against you, one person's choice can make a difference.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if the author is trying to tell us that we all have that power within us.
I think so.
Yeah.
But the story also makes you think about how seductive power can be.
Yes.
How easily it corrupts.
Right.
Flicker's transformation is a pretty stark warning about that, right?
It is. It's a reminder that even with the best intentions, power can change you into something you never intended to become.
Yeah.
It highlights how important it is to stay true to yourself, even when faced with temptations like that.
So we've talked a lot about dragons and stolen power and shadow creatures. But why should all of this matter to us, the listeners? Why should we care about a story set in this fantastical world?
Right.
What's the takeaway here?
That's the beauty of stories like this, isn't it? At their core, they're about us. They're about the challenges we all face, the choices we make, and the potential we each have to create change no matter how small.
Right.
Flicker's journey is like this call to action, encouraging us to question the world around us, to find our voices, and to stand up for what we believe in, even when it feels impossible.
And even in a world that feels like it's full of darkness and impossible odds, a single act of defiance, a flicker of hope, can be the start of something much bigger.
Totally.
It can inspire others, change perspectives, and maybe even help create a better world.
Exactly. Flicker's willingness to give up that stolen power to choose redemption is a powerful reminder that true strength isn't about holding on to control, but about knowing when to let go. It's about sacrificing for something greater than yourself. What do you think? Did Flicker make the right choice?
You know, that's a question I'm still wrestling with.
Yeah.
Could she have used that power for good? Or was giving it up the only way to truly break the cycle of oppression in this world? I don't have the answers.
Right.
But I think the author wants us to keep asking those questions to keep those conversations going.
Absolutely. So as we leave Flicker's story behind, let's carry with us that spark of defiance, that belief in our own ability to make a difference. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the one to light the match.
And that wraps up another episode of Dangers and Dragons. Thanks for joining us on this wild adventure. Make sure to rate and follow the show for more stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Until next time, keep those imaginations firing. And remember, never underestimate the power of a single spark